Today is the 12th of September and the 11th day of hunger. And I will talk about how to enforce replacement level fertility, required assisted dying, and optimal population levels, the three components of a population stabilization law. Let us start with replacement level fertility. Governments must first remove all 200 plus endocrine disrupting chemicals that are still being deliberately inserted in the food and beverages, body care and cosmetic products, dental and consumer products to cause sterility. This will restore normal fertility. Without decontaminating our environment of depop poisons, no government can demand 2 children from every woman. The strategy of enforcement is carrot and stick. The carrot. 1. A decade at home for women with full pay to raise children, but only if conception occurs between the ages of 16 and 30. 2. Women will be allowed to give their children for adoption only if they are conceived before the age of 20. 3. All wages that are not 50% above the poverty line will be outlawed, since no responsible young couple can start a family on poverty wages. If the private sector cannot employ the young immediately upon graduation, then the government will be responsible for providing employment. 4. Unemployment will be outlawed, but everyone will have the right to 1 sabbatical year after every 4 years of employment to pursue their own interests while receiving a full wage. Over a lifetime, white-collar workers will be allowed 10 sabbatical years, while blue-collar workers will be allowed only 5. The 5-year difference will make up for the 5 years of extra retirement that blue-collar workers will enjoy, since they retire at age 60, while white-collar workers retire at age 65. In this fashion, both white and blue-collar workers will have 20 years of freedom from employment, but while blue-collar workers will enjoy 5 sabbatical and 15 retirement years, white-collar workers will enjoy 10 sabbatical and 10 retirement years. This extended period of freedom from economic responsibilities is now possible due to higher productivity achieved through digitization and robotization, and soon also from engaging artificial intelligence, and as such, it will not render us economic liabilities. Otherwise, the asset-liability balance would be upset. The stick. 1. Women who refuse to have 2 children will be denied 10 years of pension and will have to work until age 65 and be euthanized at age 70. They will also be denied half the sabbatical years everyone is entitled to. 2. To ensure that every married female has 2 children between the ages of 20 and 30, when their oocytes are healthiest, couples who fail to do so will incur severe fines to the tune of 25% of their monthly wages until they conceive. This will discourage objectors and force the young to fulfill their reproductive duty. Only the genuinely infertile will be exempt from the right to procreate, but will be required to adopt 2 children instead. If the man is infertile but the woman is not, then IVF will be provided free of cost so the woman can give birth to 2 children. If they still cannot reproduce, they will have to adopt, and if they refuse to adopt, they will suffer the same fate as the women who refuse to have 2 children. 3. The right to abortion kicks in only after a woman has born 2 children and fulfilled her duty towards society and towards the perpetuation of the species. It is therefore conditional. Since it is best that parents are young rather than old, no contraceptives will be sold to women from the age of 20 onward until they have conceived 2 children, and no contraceptives will be sold to men from the age of 20 onward until they have sired 2 children. For required assisted dying, governments must guarantee the right to a pension, which is universal and inalienable, but the duration of retirement is dictated by the ability of society to provide pensions, which in turn is dictated by a 20% old age dependency ratio. Since the fourth law of civilization building requires the continuing gradual decline of the population in inverse proportion to the increase in per capita consumption of resources, this ceiling will remain in place because maintaining optimal populations will be an ongoing process. The carrot: 1. Everyone will receive 20 to 25 years of free education and free medical care in youth. Everyone will receive 20 years of freedom from social responsibilities in the form of a combination between sabbatical and retirement years that enable comfortable living in old age, meaning at least 50% above the poverty line. 2. A DNA sample will be taken from every person who will die by a RAD and will be kept frozen until such time as cloning them back to life becomes possible and there is room on Earth or on other planets. This may never happen, but at least it gives them a chance of renewed life. The stick: those who refuse to die at age 75 by RAD, for everyone will have to sign their approval by age 20, will have to be euthanized by mandatory vaccination at age 70, since they will be responsible for the continuing existence of a military-industrial complex, which is extremely expensive. They will pay for their refusal with 5 years of their lives because they are imposing additional costs and risks to society. Our civilization will no longer be structured according to the lowest common denominator: the ignorant, the indifferent, and the self-serving. For optimal population levels, governments must coordinate the path towards a sustainable population, which in most cases implies substantial population reductions to make room for nature. Half the territory of every country must be gradually rewilded and returned to nature and remain unexploited for industrial purposes so that species loss can be reversed and the sixth mass extinction stopped. This process must be completed by the year 2100. The land returned to nature is to be enjoyed for recreational purposes only. Ecological tourism will therefore be permitted. The carrot: more living space in smart cities with cheaper utilities, since they will all come from renewable energy sources. A minimum of 100 square meters of living space per adult and 50 square meters per child must be legislated. 2. No need for cars, since work, residence, entertainment, and leisure facilities will all be within walking distance. 3. A much higher standard of living with far more free time will be the purview of all and not just a privileged minority, as is currently the case. The stick: children out of wedlock will not be allowed. The proportion of the population that remains unmarried and therefore childless will help us gradually lower the population down to sustainability. So long as the population needs to decline, those who remain unmarried and childless will receive all their sabbatical years and a full pension and live to the age of 75 like everyone else. Once a country has reached its optimal population, however, those who have never married and are therefore childless will be required to pay 25% more taxes than anybody else, since they will not have contributed to the continuation of the species and therefore to the financial stability of government. This measure will also ensure that the least desirable men and women do not reproduce, and this will serve as a natural selection method that will aid the improvement of our species. This is how, my fellow hairless monkeys, we get everyone on the planet to do their equal part in saving apekind, from self-destruction and ensure the continuation of civilization and the survival of our species. And once we accomplish this, and only then, will we have gained the right to call ourselves humans, since we will no longer be just stupid, hairless monkeys racing towards self-annihilation. Thank you for your attention.